Hi, Michelle.
Recording in progress.
Hi, Michelle. Do you have, I see two of you. Do you have the host permissions?
April?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I have the settings in the way. Just a second. I'm just going to move the settings out of the way.
Okay.
I have screen share and everything. So I believe so.
Okay, perfect. Do you want to give it a test before I hop out?
Sounds good.
I've got another meeting to go to. Awesome.
Great.
Perfect. Alrighty, we'll have a great session.
Thanks so much.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. The time is now 11 o'clock, so I'm going to start the webinar. Throughout the webinar, there may be some images or quotes, and all of those will have a reference at the end of the slide deck. This is a session about teacher or teaching presence for the Summer School Bootcamp 2021. My name is Michelle Booth, and I am the TALT and DELC for Waterloo Catholic District School Board. A couple of housekeeping items. First one is that if you do have any questions, then there is a question and answer option area for you to post your questions. I I didn't set up the meeting, so I'm not sure about all the controls that I do have, but for sure I do have that, and I should be able to allow you to turn on the microphone if we do want to have a conversation to make it easier. So the question and answer is there. If there's anything that you have a question about or you want me to demonstrate something, then please post it into the question and answer area. Second thing is that the slide deck and the recording will be found in the same place where you registered. So all of the slide decks and all of the recordings will also be found in that same place. Okay, so the plan for the presentation today is that I'm going to go over some ideas and show some examples of things that you might be able to use for summer school that relate to teacher presence. And then at the end of the slide deck, I have links that will take you out to the how-tos for each of those items. But if there is something that you would like demonstrated, then at the end of the presentation, I will be around to demonstrate any of those for any of those things that people want to see. So if there's something comes up, please add it to the question and answer. If it's a good spot to demonstrate there, I'll stop, I'll do a demonstration, or I'll just hold off until the end of the presentation. So I hope that's a great format for everybody. And again, welcome. Thanks for coming today. So the topic today is again about teacher or teaching presence. And this is coming from a framework that I refer to as the presence framework. It's related to engagement and student achievement. It is officially known as the Community of Inquiry framework that comes out of Athabasca University. Garrison and Anderson and many others are part of this framework. And it relates to this idea of achievement and engagement being connected to social presence, cognitive or the content of your course. And then the last part is the teaching presence part. So today we're going to be focusing on that teacher part, and definitely that relates to your interactions and goals and directions that you set in your course with students. And it also will overlap with other parts of this framework, like the social part, setting the climate of your class, the norms of your class, as well as regulating learning. And you can connect that to creating unique pathways or differentiating for students. So some examples, and that's really, again, the plan that I have for today, is to show you some examples of things that you can do and the tools that you can use to have teacher presence. So at the start of the semester, the summer semester, one idea that I really like, I actually got this idea from some of the northern boards doing this. What they were doing was creating a custom widget with the teacher information and having that front and center on the homepage. So we're typically doing in the top right, but you might have it in the top left, or at the top somewhere where a student comes into the class at any point and they know exactly who the teacher is, and they also know something about the teacher. So some ideas that we have here. On the far left, on the far right, we have Bree, who has given information about the school that she's coming from, information about the course, a little bit of information about the course. She provided her email address, and Bree is someone that has really enjoyed traveling in the past, so she's got a picture of herself traveling, which I think is fantastic. Really shows something about you. Now, this teacher has office hours just listed, but this would also be a place if you did have virtual office hours for students or a spot to book appointments. This would be a great spot here where you could put that. And just going up to the top, we have Carmen, who has changed the banner of her course, and I've just taken a little snippet out of the banner of her course, and she's got her little avatar in there. Welcome to the class. So great idea to bring that in, personal stuff about you, showing who you are as a teacher. The course that you're teaching might come with a course package that your board has provided or the Ministry of Education, TILO, has provided. But keep in mind that it's not an independent learning course. You are the teacher for the course, so we want there to be that presence of you. Another example that was used last summer, Simona has created a little video note in her custom teacher message widget, just to say like, hey, welcome to the course, this is who I am, and like, I'm really looking forward to being your teacher for summer school. On the left-hand side, we have Jessica, who has a similar approach where she's given out her contact information. This would be a spot where potentially she could also have, a spot to book meetings, or the link for her office hours would be here potentially. And she's got her little avatar here that she's using to kind of show a little bit about who she is. And I know that lots of people are dressing things up with favorite sports teams, or, you know, if they enjoy certain foods or something like that, they would include it in their avatar. So great ideas. I really like this idea of having a widget or things right on the home page that show who you are. A few other ideas about this. I know that many people will have a welcome start of the semester welcome message that will be done through the activity feed or the announcement area. So these are just some examples. These ones were done with the announcement tool, but yours could also be done through the activity feed. And I know that's one approach. So showing an example of, you know, again, adding that avatar, welcoming people to the class, and just putting out that message about welcome. An example on the left-hand side, Amanda, what she has done is she's created a welcome video, and she puts that in her welcome message, and she includes not only, you know, it's a little recording of her doing a screencast and showing to her students information about the course itself. So, you know, welcome, I'm the teacher of the course, and like, this is what we're going to cover. This is where you're going to find information about due dates. This is where you might find out information about the content. Here are some of the topics we're going to cover, and that's really exciting. So she kind of has a tour of the course, and she has included both that image of herself as well as the screen capture from her course itself. Some more ideas for start of the semester. Your TILO course package, if you are using one, might come with a section that is course information, where it has tips for success and meet the teacher, or it might be called about your teacher. So it depends on the age of the course package. Those areas are left completely blank unless you fill them in. So I suggest that if you have them there, go and look in your course package. Usually in the top, in Unit 0, at the very top, it will have information about the course. It's a great spot for you to go in and put the correct information. If you don't plan on using those, I would say hide those areas from your students. So another great area to talk about who you are. Another thing that you might consider, like you might have done when we were meeting with students face-to-face, is do that, you know, that survey where you try to get to know them. You can take that survey and embed it right into your announcement or other area in your course. So just to show you an example of that. I know it's really important that we're trying to, you know, get to know students, who they are, about their culture and how they learn, and bring that into the course so that we're respecting all the people in our classroom. An example that is a little bit older, and maybe one that you haven't thought about, is that the profile image and the profile itself has been around for quite a long time. If you go into your profile, it's a great idea to change the image. So we've got some, these aren't great images here when I've stretched them out a little bit, but we've got Bree again with her traveling. We have an example of a teacher here that likes Disney, so she's got the Disney castle there. And we have Lisa, who is really a fan of coffee, and she's got her little avatar there. So having that appropriate image there that shows who you are, a great way to also build a community in your class to encourage students to do the same thing. When you click on the avatar in the class list, it will bring you to the profile for the teacher, or for the students can click on it, and it's available for the students. Now, the setup and the settings for your profile will vary from board to board. So if you have questions about the settings or certain things that are there, I would check with your D2L person at your board, the TELT, or sometimes known as the DELC. Talk to them about the settings that are there. But this could be a great spot for you to put information about some of the things that interest you, a favorite book or hobby or something like that. And this is built right in. Okay, so I'm just going to pause for a second. All the things that I've talked about so far have been items that are things that you would potentially do at the start of your course. So again, if you do have any questions, the format I'm going to use is just pop your questions into the Q&A area. And if it's a great spot to stop and answer the question, then I will do that. And if it's something you want me to demonstrate, then just throw it into the Q&A area and just ask if I can show how to do a specific things, and I will absolutely do that. Okay, so now we've moved past the start of summer school and we're ready to look forward to ongoing throughout the month of July or August, depending on when you're doing summer school. So this example is from the semester 1 time period, but same sort of concept. Regular or daily announcements, generally for summer school or activity feed posts, is a great idea. It depends on how you have your course set up. I know that some teachers will have a calendar and then just be putting out reminders through activity feed or announcements. Or other people will provide a chart with, this is the layout of these are the items over the summer and, when you're doing them. And then we have some people that will put out those daily announcements or every couple of days, like this is what you're working on for the next couple of days kind of thing. So a great way to, keep it going with the students. Again, it's not an independent learning course where students just start and do everything. Your role is there to kind of keep them motivated and remind them about items. The activity feed is a great way of doing that. There are options for students to comment and even for students to post. So it depends on the settings that you have for the activity feed if you are using the activity feed. Information about the activity feed is found at the end of the slide deck. And I can also demonstrate as well if that's something that you want me to show you. Next example is through the announcements. So again, this example is taken from the fall, but you could definitely use the same thing for summer school. What I really like about this example is the teacher is putting out information about these are the learning goals that we have, these are the success criteria for students, and then what he really likes to do is use video note in the announcement area to talk to the students about key aspects of the work that's coming. Doing a screencast here would be also another way, like Amanda did at the start of the semester, to say, this is the work that you're going to be doing. Here are typical areas where, maybe you might have an issue. And sometimes another thing that this teacher, Brent, will do is he will talk about, this is what I've been seeing in the work that's coming in, and just a reminder about, proper citation or whatever the item might be. So keep it going through the semester so that your presence is available for students. Another great way that you can encourage your students is that, again, bring in those avatars. So this is coming from Mike. Mike's class was through the year. It's a little bit different. It was a continuous enrollment course that was second semester. And the students had a list of what the work was. So he wasn't necessarily reminding them about the work for that week or in summer school that day, but sometimes just telling them like, this is where you should be at, and really just trying to motivate the students in the literacy course. So he's got his little avatar with the motivation, we can do it. And then he's used replacement strings to really personalize the message that's coming for students. So information about how to use replacement strings can be found again at the end of the slide deck. And I've already used one quote from George Couros, but I really like his blog and some of the ideas that he shares. I find them very motivating. Students who feel that they are valued in the present are empowered to grow now and in the future. So acknowledging students and really trying to work with students and having that connection to students, so important to engage them and empower them to move forward. So I think that it's a great quotation. And again, if you're interested in following more of some of George's books or podcasts or blogs, there is a link at the end of the slide deck to learn more about that. Some other ideas that I want to share with you about bringing that teacher presence in, not just to announcements, but ongoing in feedback and participation in the course. So on the right-hand side, here's an example of Stephen, and we have several teachers that are using this now. But what they're doing is when they're giving feedback in the assignment area, they're giving the feedback using audio recordings or video recordings or video note. So when you are attaching a file to the comment area, you have an option to attach a file or record audio or record video. So in this particular case, I've gotten just an example showing you here of it's possible to do that. You also can click on insert stuff in the feedback, and one of the options is video note. And so that's what we have Stephen doing right here. And he was one of our lead people in doing this several years ago, giving feedback when this became available. So what he would basically do is look over the student work and give them very holistic kind of feedback about what they've been doing in the course, things they need to work on. He would try and add personal touches like, hey, I hope it's going well with, some of our students maybe have a summer job or something like that. I hope it's going well with the summer job. I'd like to hear more about that. Send me an email sometime. We'll hear more about that. And I took a look at your work that you handed in. I really like what you did with this part and then next step. So really trying to give kind of that personal message to students. On the left-hand side, we have Brent again, and he really, in the past several years, has tried to get students to participate more in discussions. And he's done that really successfully with the video note option. So for students to participate with video note as well as the teacher. So he models that for students, and students have the option to respond with video, text, audio, or all of those within the discussion area. So great way to build community and also have your presence there. Students really comment that they like each of these examples of video. They found it personal. Many of them admitted that in past courses, they didn't actually look at a lot of the feedback, but when they had the videos coming in, they enjoyed looking at that, and they would a lot of times look at more of the annotation or rubrics or whatever that was there, because they had that connection with the teacher, which is sometimes a little bit tricky with an online format. Now, we've been talking a lot about the tools like discussions or video note or announcements or activity feed, custom widgets, and many others. But having early and ongoing communication with your students is really key to creating that connection with them and getting them to engage. So a few ideas for you. Whatever board you're from, you probably have a tool that allows you to have office hours to meet with students one-on-one or with small groups or with the whole class. So whether it's Google Meet or Teams or virtual classroom or Zoom, whatever it is that you have approved at your board, those are great tools still to continue to use. But typically for an e-learning class, those items are not mandatory, but it's something that is made available for students. Phones can be old school, but definitely don't forget that phoning is still a great way to connect with students and parents and just say, hey, I notice you haven't been online. What can I do to help you get rolling? Or I noticed that you haven't looked at the feedback. Do you want to go over how to do that? And we can maybe pop on a virtual meeting and go over that. Another tool that is something to consider for students that are, maybe younger, especially some of your grade 8, 9, and 10 students, is Brightspace for Parents. Your school board may have Brightspace for Parents, and it's a great way for, the information and communication that's going on to also reach out to parents. It's something you're interested in, or you're not sure if you have it at your board. I would again check with your D2L person at your board or your TELT or DELC person at your board to find out more. And then just going back down to the bottom, if you are a member of the Ontario eLearning Consortium, then you have the PRISM tool, and the PRISM tool allows you to send out great progress emails. There's another session that's specifically on PRISM that you may want to check out that talks about how you can send out messages. It is a one-way communication. That's a little push out, but there are options. A dialogue tool that can be back and forth that would be more with a guidance counselor, not necessarily great for summer school time, but PRISM is one tool that you can definitely use. If that's something that you're not familiar with, then take a look at the recording options and also reach out to your e-learning people at your board to find out more about PRISM options. Next is just email. Whether I'm not sure of the format that you have at your board, if you are using the D2L email system, or you have a send-only system that goes out to Gmail, or it goes out to Outlook or some other system, but sending students email. I think what's really important is that you have a two-way communication with the students. So, phoning and leaving a message is great, but hearing back from them or sending an email is great, but hearing back from them, I think, is more important. And sometimes that engagement comes with they submitted work and they're kind of responding to what you're saying in the feedback. So it doesn't necessarily have to be all of these, but these are just ideas. And the last one is the Pulse app. It's a great tool to suggest for your students to add on so that they remain logged in on the app on their phone. They get notifications about important dates and due dates and so on. They have great information all there on the phone. Again, this is really a push out or a one-way communication, but it would be helpful for your students to stay aware of what's happening in their class. So I'm just going to pause again. And just a reminder again that the Q&A is open if you do have a question, or if there is something that you would like me to demonstrate, then please put it in there of what you would like to see, and I will for sure show you how to do that. The Prism one would be one that would be hard for me to demonstrate because I wouldn't be able to do that without showing personal information. So I can't demonstrate Prism, but if your board is from the Ontario eLearning Consortium, then do reach out. If you're looking for more information about Prism, reach out to your eLearning people. And again, on that registration page, there should be a video recording of the session that Todd is doing on that. Okay, this quote is coming from Anderson, and again, it's just really talking about teacher presence, critical role of teaching presence in designing meaningful learning activities, triggering questions, effective assessment, and pushing students to go beyond observing and sharing. Without this active teaching presence, the higher levels of cognitive presence are rarely developed. And so a lot of times we hear that e-learning or online learning is just not as good as other formats. And I would differ. I believe that it can be just as good, and the format isn't really so important. It's more important about good teaching. It's about having that teacher presence, about having that that social aspect to it. So other parts of it are really important. It's about good pedagogy in general. So just a good quote there that I like. I wanted to promote, again, I know I've mentioned these options, but in various spots in your course, in your content, in your quizzes, in your assignments, in your discussions, in your announcements, and probably missed some, you do have options to include audio notes and video note. So it's possible to have a quiz question where you actually put information about the question, instructions as a video note. And it is even possible for students to respond as a video note. Same thing, I've given you that example of assignments, in content, in discussions I already mentioned with Brent's class. Also, there are audio options if that's something that you are interested in and you don't want to do the video. It's possible also to use the video note and students maybe don't want to have their face there, or it's possible for a student to maybe do a screencast and then they can upload that to video note. So I'm really encouraging that because I do hear that students really like having these audio and video options. It's really kind of where we're at right now in the world, that we use lots of video and audio. And we do have text, of course, but mixing it up with different formats. I did mention that resources for each of the items would be at the end of the slide deck. So if you want to learn more about video note or customizing things like your banner, custom home pages and widgets, there's another one here with this one is a custom widget specifically about that Bitmoji classroom kind of idea. So bringing in an avatar, changing your profile so that you would be able to see the profile image as well as all those things about favorite book and favorite quotes using replacement strings. I included this here because I think it's a good resource, although I didn't really talk about it too much. But trying to encourage students to use discussions, sometimes you need to give those students the starter sentence or STEM that will help them use that. So when you are doing it, whether it's having students respond with a video or text, giving them some ideas about how to agree with an idea or how to disagree or how to build on an idea, these STEM sentences that are there are great. If you would like to learn more about Brightspace for Parents or the Pulse app, the links are there, and a few other links there about culturally responsive and learning for all that were mentioned. Some of the images that were there, this community of inquiry image and presence, I call it the presence model framework, that's for engagement and achievement out of Athabasca University, and George Curl's quotes. There's two of them there. His blog, it's a great blog, one that you might consider taking a look at. And then that take an asset-based approach image from culturally responsive pedagogy. So that is the end of the presentation part. Again, I'm going to stick around to answer any questions that you have, and I probably will stop the recording at this point. And then people can certainly put their questions in the Q&A area, and I'll be sticking around for the time left in the presentation. Short and sweet. I know that everyone is quite busy with their time right now.